Hey everyone, welcome to the Comic Book Palace. A lot of the comments in the comment section have been questions. Today we're going to fire up the camera and try to answer some for you. Let's start with the first one. Question number 1 is from Mariusz Adamczyk. Glenn, what was your number 1 comic series of 2021? Well, I would have to say it's probably Something That's Killing the Children. That was probably the number 1 comic series of 2020, 2021. James Tynion has done a great job on this book. It's a fabulous horror story. It's the book I look forward to the most every week that comes out. I'll give the guy credit. The book is out on time, all the time. It's hardly ever late. And if it is, it's only by like a week. We're not talking months late. I mean, most people that's in comics right now that's reading books have at least heard of this book. It's definitely something you need to try out. Question number 2 from Frank Scribner. Glenn, are Marvel and DC's variant covers good or bad for the hobby? Well, that's a good question. I think it's a little bit of both. With all the extra covers, it gives people options. And, some people like to collect all the covers or you get 3 to choose from. Wow, I like this artist better than another artist. So, I mean, for that and for you giving you a selection, it's good. But, I mean, there are too many foreign. This falls on the shops, too, that feel, there's a 1 in 100 cover. There's a 1 in a 200 cover. I need to have this because, I'm not going to be the cool store if I don't have it. But a lot of places over-order the books now to get the 1 in 200. Where you get a lot of books that are just not selling and you find in 50-cent bins or dollar bins 2 months after they come out because they had to order so many to get that 1 in 200 book. I have some customers in the shop themselves that buy every single cover and all they do is complain, there's too many covers. Well, show a little restraint and stop buying all those covers. Me personally, I wish there were less. If there was no variant covers, I'm okay with that. I only collect cover A for my stuff because when I was collecting books, all there was a cover A. So, yes, in a way that there's some good points and there are some bad points for it. I mean, again, if you show restraint, just buy what you like. Question number 3 from JT. Your show introduced me to the ice cream series. Do you still read and or enjoy it? Thoughts on Ha-Ha? Well, I still like the Ice Cream Man series, but it's not as good as it was at the beginning. The first maybe 10 issues, that he knocked it out of the park. And now it's had its up and downs. But overall, it's still a really good series. I enjoy it. I'd still recommend it to people. And on the book Ha-Ha, I liked it. It was messed up. I don't like clowns. Clowns are creepy. And this clown say, hey, we're going to write a horror book all about clowns. It was perfect. I enjoyed all 6 issues. I would like to see another miniseries done of Ha-Ha. Question number 4 from Rage Hockey. Glenn, the only question that matters here, favorite dish at Romano's? Well, that's easy. It's called the Romano. It's a chicken parmesan with meatballs all on a toasted garlic bread. Delicious. Take my word for it, it's probably one of the best sandwiches they have over there. Question number 5 from DJT. Who's your favorite X-Man not named Wolverine? Well, that's kind of a tough question because I don't really like the X-Men. I always thought Iceman could have been one of the most powerful X-Men there were. I mean, he's almost like Green Lantern, except with ice. Whatever he could think of, he can do. But they've always made him, except for one small time, I think in the late 90s, they've just made him an idiot throwing snowballs, riding around and things. So he's an idiot. So I'd have to say my favorite would probably be the Beast. Not Grant Morrison Beast, where he looks like Beauty and the Beast. Old school Beast. Old school, like when the Beast was in the Avengers in the 70s. He was probably my favorite character. He was one of the few that could actually leave the X-Men, go somewhere else, and fit into a group. I have a bunch of the old Avengers books with the Beast in it, and I bought them just because I liked the Beast. And I think I like the Beast better in the Avengers than I do in the X-Men too. And I think that just has to do with because I have to read an X-Men book. Question number 6 from Nova69. Hey Glenn, will independent comics eventually outsell the big two? Yes, if the big two go out of business. No, right now the big two have about 75 to 80% of the market share over every single independent book there is. You may have one or two titles that will be up with the big two, but you'll never see them be as big as the big two. They're writing the stories of the independents. Don't get me wrong, I am a huge independent fan, and I love a lot of independent books, and I push a lot of independent books. But a lot of their stories aren't made for the masses. They're made for small niches. With a Marvel or a DC book, you have years and years of history where things continue and grow and go on. Where a lot of independent books, they're all smaller, shorter series. So I don't think there's enough there to ever give it that push that 30 years from now you're still going to be reading a certain series. I mean, there's a few like Spawn and whatnot, but again, it's a small group of people that are still reading it. I don't think you'll ever see them beat out the big two. The big two will have to go out of business for any of those other ones to become number one. Question number 7 from Rick T. Glenn, which name sounds more pretentious? Warren Worthington III or James Tynion IV? That's a great question. Warren Worthington, if some people don't know, is Angel from X-Men. He's a rich playboy. So they wrote him to have this, kind of snooty name. Hey, I'm Warren Worthington III. James Tynion is a real guy. As a matter of fact, he writes one of the best books out there. But James Tynion IV, the fact that he runs around saying, hey, I'm James Tynion IV, that does sound a little more pretentious. This is a character. This is a real person. No one cares that there was 3 of you before you. They don't care. On legal papers and stuff, yeah, you are that. But I think if he's going to run around telling he's the 4th of them, that's more pretentious. Thanks, Rick. That was a great question. Question number 8 from Scott E. What's your favorite comic book story or storyline? The one you love the most? That's a tough question. I've been reading comics since I was a kid in the 70s. There are so many good story and storylines out there. But two that would stick out, one for Marvel, one for DC. Like if someone comes in and says, hey, what should I read for a trade paperback or whatever? I would say Ed Brubaker's Winter Soldier for Captain America. He made Captain America who, the title was on its way down. People were dropping it left and right. I couldn't even read the book anymore. And I'm a Cap fan. It took a friend and a couple customers to come and say, you need to start reading this book. And once I read it, I couldn't put it down. I mean, that's a story where he actually brought Bucky back. We haven't seen Bucky since the 40s. It's like, really? How are they going to bring this back and even make it believable? Well, it's one of the probably most believable come back to life from death sort of things that I've ever read in comic books, and is probably the best Captain America storyline ever. And probably one of the best Marvel storylines ever. Like I said, there's a bazillion of them, but this one sticks out more than any. And I'd probably say for DC, would probably be Batman's No Man's Land. And again, I know everyone says, oh, well, what about The Watchmen? What about Frank Miller's Dark Knight? Classics. But there was something about the No Man's Land. I mean, this story lasted for like a year. Went through every single Batman book there was. There's a lot of things, oh man, I hate having to read books that I'd never read or whatever. I was picking up books that I wasn't reading for Bat stuff and enjoying it. And this story just went on, and you never felt though it was a money grab or it was oh boy, this thing's going on way too long. When's it gonna stop? Like you do now with these stories that come out, and they're only 8 issues long. You're like, oh my god, this event's been too long. This thing went on a whole year. They've got like huge trade paperbacks, compilations for this, and they sell all the time. It was a great story. Those are probably the 2 of the best storylines that I've ever read. Great question. Thank you. Question number 9 from Mark's Planet. What's your feeling on the horrible version of Taskmaster in the Black Widow movie? I have no feeling on it because I didn't think it was a horrible version. Should it have been Taskmaster? Probably not. I mean, is it the Taskmaster that I love in the comics? No, totally different. Would I have liked to see that? Yes, but that character in that movie was kick-ass. If they had named it different and just gave her a different name, would you have liked the character? Is it just because of the name? Because there was nothing wrong with the character. Maybe she shouldn't have been named Taskmaster. Me personally, love the character. Question number 10 from Matt Johnson. Glenn, question for you. What made you decide to open a comic store? Number 2, how did you get so damn handsome? Well, we'll answer these in the order that you gave them to me. I got sick of working for somebody. I always wanted to do something on my own. I knew 2 things. I knew groceries. I worked at a grocery store for years. So it was either going to be a convenience store or a comic store. I couldn't find the right partner to go with for a convenience store because I mean there's definitely, I mean, you're open a long time. You need a lot of workers to help you out with that. So it came down to with what I could find first for a location. If I found a place that I thought was going to be better for a convenience store, I was going to do that. If I found a place that was going to be better for a comic shop, I was going to do that. Well, here I am 29 years later in a place that I thought that would be a good spot for a comic shop, and here we are. I just wanted to go out on my own. I was young. I was 23. Figured if you're going to do it, this is the time to do it. If you fail, you're young. You can still go back and move on and have a career. I don't want to be 40 going, oh, what if I had done this? Nope, I went out and did it, and I worked hard, and I'm very, very lucky and fortunate that 29 years later, I'm still here. And now your second question, how did I get so damn handsome? I worked hard for this body, all right? Those Romano subs don't eat themselves, okay? Well, that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. We'll try to get back and do this again. Thanks for watching.